Hello and welcome back to the ministry. And today we're talking about it takes courage to walk in freedom. We all want freedom. We want freedom from every element of our lives that we feel like we're bound or held to slavery to. Maybe it's relationships, maybe it's boundary issues between people, maybe it's a job that you don't like. Um, Maybe it's, I don't know, uh something that you're doing that you wish you were doing something different. You Sometimes it's your education level, sometimes it's your certification level, uh but we all want freedom. But freedom comes with making certain decisions that will open doors to a lot the freedom to move into those areas, territories, and open spaces. Um, I've always been the type of person that I don't like being confined. I don't. Um, don't get me wrong. I'm a homebody. I love being at home, all of that. But when I want to be out and when I feel cooped up, I want to go out. I want to be able to maneuver and have the freedom to move as I choose to move. Uh, Sometimes you can be kept captive due to mindset, emotional trauma, physical trauma, financial poverty, lack, doubt, frustration, spiritual boundaries, and social circumstances. And you desire freedom. But it takes courage to walk in freedom. It takes courage to have a 9 to 5 job and make the decision that you're going to be an entrepreneur. And understanding that with becoming an entrepreneur, there's going to be a lot more responsibility that comes with that, but there's going to be freedom in your time depending on how you structure your business. Um, and your ability to move and maneuver freely where you desire to go. Meaning, there's some entrepreneurs that all they operate on is their computer and their phone, so they can go anywhere and operate. Some people build their businesses around travel because they want that freedom of not feeling stuck in the house, or so on and so forth. So, having the freedom, and especially with this Pandora's box that we've gone through in the past few years, that people more than ever are desiring to become free. So you may run into the fact that you have to have courage. You see a speaker on the stage, you're like, man, I could do that, but what does it take to become that person? Did you write the book? Do you have the book within you? Are you going to sit down and you're going to write a book and talk about the things that you went through within that experience, being more open to discuss those things? Next, um, maybe it's, I don't know, you're going to start something new. You had a career that you were operating in, and you've decided that you're going to operate in a completely different career. But in starting a completely different career, that means you having to get the education credentials that line up with the new career transition, and that's scary. It takes courage. But what's the quote I always say that I live by? It takes doing what others won't to get a result that others are not going to get. You have to be willing to do that in order to be able to receive what it is that you desire to receive. Taking a leap is not an easy thing to do. I've done it. I've done it a few times in relation to certain things. It's not easy. I was listening to a ministry this morning, and the woman was talking about how when you desire to take a leap and make the decisions that are necessary that come attached with the leap that you're going to take, you have to come to the understanding that the enemy's going to test you in the solidarity of your decision to walk away from that thing. Meaning phone calls, you're going to get offered counterproductive things when you say I'm gonna quit this job and I'm gonna start my own business. Just before you walk out the door, that's when you get the promotion. And they say, "Oh, we're gonna promote you now. We need you to stay. Come on, stay." No, what did God say? I just said this in the previous video. You preparing for marriage, God's preparing to send the God ordained spouse that you've been waiting, praying for, standing for all of this, and the enemy turn around and bring a counterfeit, or he brings an ex of yours to bring a memory and melancholy towards you in order to bring you and pull you backwards. But you have to have the courage, because what the enemy is doing is he's trying to intimidate you by boxing you in with things that make you feel familiar and comfortable. This is a saying that I've come to the realization of. If the thing that or opportunity that the Lord has or that has been presented before you is not a way for you to grow as a person, scale, whatever it is, but it's a way for you to stay in the same place, then you need to question if that was from God. Because yes, God will open doors that are a little lesser than what you're used to, but is it an opportunity for growth? What the enemy does is he opens an opportunity that looks almost duplicately identical to what God's going to offer you, but it's going to coax you through melancholy to stay in the same place. God wants to grow you. The enemy wants you to stay in the same place. Remember that. So when you take a leap, when you leave the friends that are no longer serving you in this season, you're going to have those friends come back to you and be like, "Oh, you remember?" Same thing. No, don't let them in. When you decide, I'm no longer going to listen to this type of music, guess what? That's the only type of music that you start hearing, and it's that element like, "Oh, I remember this is my jam. Wait, I'm not supposed to be listening to this music no more. I got to, See what I mean? Because the enemy wants to pull you back to your comfort zone, because you're trying to take a leap forward into something that's courageous, and you're trying to break the pattern. And the enemy's like, we don't want this pattern broken, so we need to create something that's identical duplicate to what God's going to give this person, so that they feel comfortable. Oh, this is what God wanted to give me, so let me say it. But it's not going to allow you to grow. It's going to keep you stagnant and stuck. And if you go into that thing thinking that it's from God, what will happen is when you try to grow, it will be almost like a narcissist relationship. It will notice you trying to get away from it, and it will start to attack. It's like, oh, you're trying to leave. Attack. That's the sign as well that now this wasn't from God. This wasn't from God. That's why you want to try to make sure that you identify it before you get into it, so that you aren't confused or brought into conflict later. Taking the leap is going to require the decision, but understand the pitfall of the decision. There's only 3 outcomes of making the decision to take that leap. One, and Lisa Nichols made this very clear, you're going to either fail. If you fail forward, because the Lord is going to provide you with a soft place to land. 2, fall, and you're going to get bruises. You're going to go through seasons of wilderness you don't understand, and you're going to hit your toes, and it's going to hurt, because you're just adjusting to where you're going. 3, the Lord has put you through that bruised, bumped season, and you've adjusted, you've learned the lesson of that bruised, bump season, and now you can fly because you understand, okay, I get that now. Understand what that was. I get the understanding that I was supposed to get from that. And now I can fly because I've taken the information that I got in my bruise bump season, and now I can run because I can now avoid those pitfalls. Most people don't leap because they are afraid of falling. And all falling is a lesson of what not to do the next time. You don't get on a bike the first time and ride it perfectly. You're going to fall, and you're going to have to get up bruised, and you're going to have to try again. And this is me making an admission. I don't know how to ride a bike. I don't know how to ride a bike. Because when I was a child, I used to always fall off the bike, and I used to have a screaming fit, and my parents decided that they never wanted to try to teach me how to ride a bike again. I tried to teach myself how to ride a bike, but the bikes that I tried to learn on had a tendency to be adjusted too high, so I couldn't I'm not that tall, so if my feet can't reach the ground, if I start to slip when the bike starts to move, I could actually injure myself worse. And I already have some really bad injuries on my right side, all the way up my right side. So I'm a little bit cautious on falling, okay? But in time, I will learn. It's a goal on my bucket list of things to learn. I'm not going to allow not knowing how to ride a bike, swim, or to use skates, whether it be ice skates or regular skates. I'm going to learn these things. For one, I'm coming into a phase of life where I'm going to have kids. And these kids are going to want to learn from their parents how to ride a bike, how to swim, how to skate, all these kinds of things. So, and I also don't know how to drive a car. So, these things I'm going to learn in the process, but I'm not going to allow them to stop me. I've had seasons where I allowed those things to stop me. But when the season comes that it's right for me to be able to do that, I will be able to do that. But as I grow, maybe this is just my walking season, your life will reflect the season that you're in. And right now I've been in a season of walking. I've went through injuries. I haven't been able to run, but when my season to run comes, I will learn to run. Then I will bike. Then I will drive. All of these things. But we all have to go through our levels of process. It takes courage and understanding that the worst is going to be is that you're going to get a lesson out of the experience. And then you're just going to get another lesson if you mess up that lesson. And you're going to keep having to learn a lesson until you learn what's necessary that you fly in that thing. Eagles, what they do is when they have a child that that it's time for them to leave their nest, they just start kicking them out the nest. And the bird has to learn to use its wings to start flying. If it doesn't start flying, the father goes down underneath it and lifts it back up, brings it back to the nest. Once it gets itself back together, does the same thing. It keeps on doing this until it starts to fly. What's next? You must crawl before you walk. I know somebody right now that is in the process of making a major transition in their life, and they never thought they ever would do what they're doing right now because they always swore off they would never go back to doing this particular thing. But they see the potential of being an asset to the situation. If the Lord allows you to be demoted back to a position, not the exact position that you were once in, but He may put you in a position that the knowledge in which you gained in your season of wilderness is going to be an asset to where He places you. That's a place for not only you to grow, but for the people to learn from you. I know a pastor, the apostle that I listened to, he said that he was at a point at one point in time, he was rubbing shoulders with T.D. Jakes in them. And the Lord said, I'm recycling you. And he said, excuse me. And the Lord said, yeah, I'm going to recycle you. And what does he do now? He has his own church, but he lowered him down to, all the way down to starting off in hotel rooms, and he got a church somewhere else, and then he moved to Atlanta, and he's doing his ministry over there, but he's ministering over YouTube, and he was on Periscope, and he does Twitter and Instagram now. But he's using the wisdom that he had. Yeah, he was up there, but the Lord pulled him back down because he needed him to do that. Some of you got to have the courage that if the Lord says, I'm going to recycle you so that you can help other people, you got to be willing to be pulled down. And some of y'all, peep this, your spouses are in high ranking positions right now, and God's going to recycle them when they hit you. Because God's going to have to pull them back to recycle them for the ability to be able to maintain what they got to maintain with you. But they got to learn that while they with you. So your spouse is going to pull back from where they are. Only long enough to gain momentum at a pace that you can run with them. So to them, they look like they're being recycled, because they're going to have to back up from the position that they're in. But they still got the slot. They're just trying to catch you up. Especially if the two of you are going to be doing something in particular that needs to be done and reared and positioned together. So
it may look like you have gone back to the bottom. But where was I? You're going to take the lessons in which you learned during the time in the season in which you failed and all this type of stuff, and you're going to teach it, because now you have the cheat sheet of the steps in which you have to take in order to go through the process. You have to work the process in which you know, and with all things,